One of the most renowned archetype in Oracle Think Tank clan is surprisingly have nothing to do with the Oracle, but their ability to maintain the field presence while still drawing a good amount of cards at the same time. Yes, I'm talking about the Battle Sisters. The Battle Sister has been around in the Vanguard as old as the very first booster, with the release of Cocoa, MoCA, and of course the original version of the Oracle Think Tank Perfect card, Chocolate. The archetype present in the Vanguard hemisphere kind of scattered around throughout the Vanguard history, as they did get their own version of the booster boss specifically tailored for them.
But wait! There's more!
And not only that, during the G era, they were the deck for the OTT, being one of the best deck in the game with the best synergy with Ishigishima.
Damn!
In B format, the deck did have some recognition in the form of a very powerful engine in the few units that they did release as a Battle Sister, until Clan Collection where they finally released a Grade 3 Battle Sister to make it a complete deck.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Before I go any further, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, do consider like, share and subscribe to this channel, and ring that bell to keep up with all the notification, as all these help will really help me towards the 1000 subscriber goal. And without further ado, let's dive and see how good is Battle Sister now that it has a proper deck in the V format. Starting off with Simla Auto, Vanguard or Regard. When your Vanguard attack hit, one of your unit gets triggered until the end of turn. This is not a once per turn. This card seemed weak at first until you realize that you can have a multiple of them on the field and get a huge power boost to any of your regards after if the Vanguard attack hit, of course. Of course, on hit effect hasn't been really good in Vanguard in general, so this card is not really played in the modern Battle Sister for that reason. And also the other card that is in the Grade 1 list of Battle Sister right now are just much better. Pentaton is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful Battle Sister card released up to the day I recorded this, as it not only is very generic, it's also very powerful at what it does. Act on Regard, put this unit into your sword, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, put a card among them on top of your deck and another one to the bottom of your deck. Until the end of turn, the power increase of your next trigger effect gets plus 10k. This essentially means that as long as you hit a trigger, your opponent must at least guard for 2 pass for just a single trigger, or depends on how many times you use Pentaton during that turn, it can go up to 4 to 5 triggers if you can use multiple of them in one single turn. That's the power and beauty of Pentaton. It has ability to force opponent a card from their hand as more than they expected to do initially. And not only that, it does to play the typical OTT thing, which means just deck manipulation, and with that in mind, it's just really good. In my opinion, if you can run this in your deck, do run it.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
Kasata has a very simple but very powerful ability, as on Regard once per turn, when your Driveshack reveals a trigger unit, this unit gets 10k until the end of the turn. This power increase is very substantial, as it helps to hit the force marker Vanguard as easy as just simply hit a trigger. And sometimes this additional 10k comes in very handy when it comes to the Battle Sister 8 game as well. Tori has, yes, this is Spanish, is currently the only Grade 1 that does have a Battle Sister specific clause in their ability. When placed reveal top card of your deck, if it's a card with Battle Sister in its name, you may put it into your hand, and it can only be used once per turn, a hard once per turn. Auto on Regard once per turn, when you look your deck by an effect during your turn, this unit plus 5k until the end of turn. These cards used to be one of the drawing source power of Battle Sister as a deck, and it wasn't very good as it does need to be Battle Sister to add it to hand. But in the older version of Battle Sister, you can take advantage of Amaterasu effect and just top bind her and get the ability, so it's not far from useless. Though in the current version of the Battle Sister, included the brand new support, it's kind of being played less, but still enough to play the Battle Sister playstyle. The latest card to the Battle Sister Grade 1 roster is also one of the very first few Battle Sister that was released, and that is Cocoa. Auto, when this unit is rolled upon, you may call this card to Regard Circle. Act on Regard, raise this unit, look at top card of your deck and put it to the top or the bottom at your leisure. And if you put at the bottom of your deck, choose one of your unit and it gets 3k until the end of turn. This is kind of the reason why Simla got replaced, but in general she just did a lot for a single card. Raise and check top card of your deck is very powerful, and it is kind of in conjunction with one of the battle sister unit as well. And also that plus 3k, as already mentioned earlier, if it build up it can be very deadly, but at the same time it also helps some certain unit to able to hit the Vanguard, most of the Vanguard, without the requirement help of any other units. Moving up to grade 2, let's start off with the unit that I think almost every player will saw if they encounter OTT players should get. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, so plus 1, look at top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to one grade 3 card among them and put it on top of your deck, then shuffle the rest of the card and put them onto the bottom of your deck, and this unit get 5k until the end of turn. This is one of those interesting cases where the card supposed to belong to one archetype, but it does a better job outside its own archetype. You see, there is this little card called Goddess of Sun Amaterasu,
Synergy.
which a lot of OTT deck is actually playing due to her ability to give a huge amount of power and additional crit to your Vanguard. But also, in my opinion, one of the lesser known thing that a lot of people kind of do not really appreciate this card is the fact that it gains 5k, just enough power to hit through any base power of any Vanguard, regardless of which clan they are coming from. So I do admit that this is a very powerful card even to run its own archetype, but it has a lot more use outside of the battle sister deck in general. You still run this though. Next up is one of the classic battle sister unit, Macaron. Auto on Rearguard once per turn. When you look at your deck by an effect during your turn, regardless of which type of look into the deck, you may have this unit get power plus 10k until end of turn. There's not much to say about this card aside from the fact that it is a really good beta unit that can fit in any OTT deck as long as you do deck manipulation in the deck, which most of the deck does in some degrees. For Battle Sister though, it is still a good unit to be putting in unless you have this particular other Battle Sister. Tortoise is also a very generic beta, albeit it does have a little bit of plus here and there. Constant on Vanguard or Rearguard, if you have 10 or more cards in your hand during your turn, this unit get power plus 10k and an additional crit. This card does share a very same job with Macaron, albeit a little bit differently in the sense that Macaron is a little bit more consistent compared to this card, but this card is a lot more explosive. So if you're going for a draw heavy style battle sister, I do recommend to run this card instead of Macaron, but if you do run Macaron, run more crit instead. Moving on to the grade 2s from the clan collection, we have Trifle Auto. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard from hand, counter blast 1, look at top 3 cards of your deck, call up to one battle sister to Rearguard circle, no need to be open, and put the rest of the card to the top of your deck in any order. Then as a Rearguard, when it attacks, if you look at your deck by any card's ability this turn, this unit plus 5k, then Soul Blast 1 grade 3 and opponent cannot call Sentinel from his or her hand to guard circle. This card does 3 jobs and 3 jobs really well. Her first skill does 2 jobs, and that is to populate the battle sister to the field and to stack on top of your deck if needed to be. Its second ability seems expensive at a glance, but if you know how to use it, it can be really devastating. It's nothing at the Harmiel level of Cancerous, but it's halfway there. This might be the reason why the card haven't get banned in the ban list yet, due to the fact that you do need a lot of attention to go into this card to actually make that additional guard restrict really worth it. The latest clan collection battle sister is also another classic, and that is MoCA. When this unit is rolled upon Soul Blast 1, look at top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them to your hand and put another one to top or bottom of your deck as you desire. And then constant on Rearguard or Guard circle, if you have 3 or more units with battle sister with different name in the field, this unit get 5k plus shield 5k, and if your hand has 4 or more cards, this also you get additional 5k. Here we have another conditional beta, but it does in a very good way. In the sense that as long as you are not up against a control deck, you more or less will have that constant effect online most of the time. And that additional 5k shield will be really useful, and we already made discuss about how 19k is really powerful in Battle Sister, so I'm not gonna talk more than that. But what I will talk about is its on Ridden skill. It's literally just Imperial Daughter,
NANI?
but much cheaper without the power boost. That is all you need to know. Now let's move on to the grade 3 battle sister, in which there are a total of 2 of them, starting off with one of my absolute favorite battle sister, Fromage. Constant on Vanguard during your turn. If your opponent Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, all unit with battle sister in their name plus 5k. And auto Vanguard or Regard when placed, counter blast 1, soul blast 1, draw a card. If your Vanguard is a battle sister, draw another card. And last but not least, act once per turn, discard a card from your hand. Look at the same number of cards from top of your deck, yes, the number of your unit with battle sister with different name, and put each card you look to the top or the bottom of your deck in any order. As the very first grade 3 battle sister, this is pretty damn good. It does give the power to the battle sister on the field, it does draw a good number of cards, and it does help you to restack your top card of the deck and put any unnecessary card to the bottom of your deck, which actually really useful, but it does have a weakness, and that is the fact that for one, you do need a counter blast and a soul blast, resource that can be a little bit heavy for battle sister in the certain situation, and the card that you check on the regard, depending on number of the card you check, it may or may not be helpful, but overall it is still a very powerful unit and a very good start to a battle sister deck. And then we come to the very last battle sister as of the day I recorded this, and that is Heretic battle sister Fromage Reverse.
Emotional damage.
For constant on Vanguard, during your turn, all of your unit with battle sister in their card's name get power plus 5k for each of your lock card, and act once per turn cost, counter blast 1, discard a card from your hand. Look at the same number of cards from the top of your deck as the number of your unit with battle sister with different names. Then choose any number of cards among them, put them to the top, and put the rest to the bottom of your deck. Then lock one or more battle sister, draw a card for each card locked for this cost. This card essentially feels like an original Fromage, but a little bit more Vanguard oriented and does have some lock effect. Well, in general, it's a huge improvement and it does give you a lot more power as needed, and it does potentially give you additional 5 draw if needed to be. But the most important aspect of this card is the fact that now you can draw after you have rearranged your deck, so you can essentially getting rid of some of the normal units in your deck by drawing them and locking your rear of course, and essentially just thinning down your deck a lot more, which allow you to hit a trigger a lot easier. Is it gonna accelerate the decking out? Yes, but it does in the best way possible, and in my opinion, it's a really good unit as it does look deceptively made. Now let's move on to pros and cons of this particular deck, and the pros, there's quite a few of them. The first and foremost is being battle sister, and that is ability to generate the field presence very well and can generate as early as turn 2. And this deck does have a very powerful endgame in the form of Trifle, which can read Harmonic number and Harmonic number of crits if needed to be. And also this deck does draw quite a lot with the new support, so it does have not only a good draw control, it also have a very powerful deck control as well. But the deck does have some issue, and one of the biggest that I noticed is the fact that the deck does require a lot of resource but doesn't have a lot of cards that can generate resource for them. And another issue is that the deck does need trigger presence quite a bit. The moment they don't have any more triggers, the deck power level can just jump down almost into the trash can. So yeah, there is plus and minus to this deck, but overall a very fun deck to play. And here is my current deck list. With the exception of the grade 3s and Pentaton, I decided to run almost everything at 3 copies just to give the variety names just enough to triggers everything. Of course, I also need to run Battle Sister, Crit and Draw just to get some variety as well. The reason I didn't choose to get the Battle Sister Heal is because of the fact that I feel that Heal Guardian still is a better defensive piece that needed to be used in this deck in general. Of course, you can definitely adjust the Battle Sister number of cards as much as you need it. You can just run 3 Tortoise and 3 Macaron like some insane people, but overall, I think this is a very good lineup. Of course, if you run Tortoise, you need to run more draw, of course. And that is all for today. Battle Sister kind of proved themselves that they don't need to be very different to be good. And I mean, this is not lowered level or broken or anything, but I do enjoy Battle Sister gameplay a lot, and against unsuspecting meta deck player, this can just put them into place. So yeah, that's all I have for today. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, or you have different deck suggestion or think differently about certain Battle Sister card, do leave down in the comments below. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, and this is McMegane signing out.